Hey, what's going on, Dan? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. How you?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. So, where are you located out of? I believe your name is Dan, right?
Yeah,
Judging by
yeah,
your name on Discord.
yeah. Yeah, that's my branding. Yeah, I'm based sort of near London,
Oh, cool.
so
Okay.
yeah, UK. But my team's sort of based all over the place.
Oh,
Like
excellent.
yeah, our sound designers in America, and then the rest of us are sort of spread all over the UK.
So, let me first, thank you for joining us to talk about, I guess, your game, 10-second Ninja X. Um, I've actually not had a chance to try this, so this should be an interesting one. I love these particular interviews where I'm actually diving in for the first time because it gives me a chance to uh, be a bit amazed as I discover what the game's actually about. I have a vague notion of it, but maybe if you could start by kind of telling us who you are and kind of maybe a premise of what this game's about, and I'm gonna go ahead and dive in as you're kind of
Cool.
answering it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Dan. I'm the game director at Full Circle Interactive. We're like a tiny indie game studio. And it's a 10 second Ninja X. It's kind of like it's sort of Super Meat Boy esque. You've got 10 seconds to finish each level. So it's like really, really quick, really, really intense. All about like finding the best routes through levels and killing things as quickly as possible. This is a sequel to 10 Second Ninja One, which came out about 2 years ago. Um, and for this one, we kind of spend the whole game ripping on Sonic the Hedgehog. Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
what do you mean
so
by ripping on it?
well, just I don't know. I feel like if anyone around Sonic the Hedgehog
Mm.
reacted like anyone actually would, then they'd think he was kind of an asshole.
Makes sense.
Uh,
I would agree with you.
yeah, so it's kind of a game about that.
Nice. Okay.
At least story-wise, gameplay-wise, it's very much just like not like very pure, very focused. Like we don't want anything to get in the way. It's just like here is a level, do it really, really well, and then the better you do the level, the better rating you get at the end of it. So while like finishing a level in 10 seconds is kind of tough,
Hmm.
it's the real challenge comes from sort of trying to get the best ratings possible throughout the whole game, and like finding the best routes. And it's kind of a game that makes speedrunning accessible.
So I can immediately see what you meant by where Sonic comes into play because this guy looks
Yep.
oddly familiar.
Yep, he's just different enough that we aren't going to get sued. I hope.
So what inspired you guys to put this to choose this I guess style of title? Whoops.
So it was a mix of like firstly when I started making this, I didn't know how to make games.
Hmm.
So it was sort of like, okay, I'll start with something simple. Like I'm not going to try and make like No Man's Sky like just with zero experience because I wouldn't finish it.
Hmm.
Um,
Wait, I'm sorry. This was your first title?
it's 10 Second Ninja One was, but it's obviously it shares a lot of DNA. So it's like
Right, right, right.
basically when I started making them sort of 4 years ago now, I just didn't know how to make games.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so it was sort of
Ah,
this
gotcha,
this
gotcha.
is yeah. So it kind of came from that, but also like I mean I'm 22 years old, so I've grown up with 3D games. So as a result, I didn't really get into sort of 2D game design until like I was kind of not paying attention in school and just like playing Newgrounds games on the PCs and stuff.
Right, right, right. Newgrounds
So a
was
lot of it came.
fantastic.
Yeah, oh my god. There's so much good stuff in Newgrounds that people are just going to forget as time goes on.
Well,
um,
surprisingly, I've noticed a lot of devs that once work for Newgrounds. And for those of you guys who've never heard of Newgrounds before, it was a website where a bunch of um, inspiring or aspiring, use the wrong word there, aspiring game developers and those who wanted to make games by themselves before like indie gaming was kind of a thing. They would use they would go ahead and create like either flash movies or flash video games, and you could play them more or less for free. um, And I have noticed some of those games have been translated now over to PC or console. I think Tiny Build originally did that with their I forgot what the name of their title was.
No Time to Explain.
Right, yeah. And look at where they are now. So it's pretty darn cool.
I mean, I started learning to code when like the whole kind of indie renaissance thing was happening, and like Super Meat Boy was blowing up and all that stuff. So I kind of it was always going to be like a Steam game rather than Newgrounds game, but like I'd learned so much from playing all these like ridiculously good Newgrounds games that just like weren't making any money. That I was just like, you know what, like I feel like I could do this. I feel like I've taken enough on board that I could make something that like feels good and looks reasonably good. Initially, it started out I was in sixth form at school, which is sort of, you know, like senior year, and it's like I had a very relaxed art teacher, and he just let me just sort of sit in the back and make stuff on my laptop. So like I basically just started working on 10 Second Ninja 1 then, just to sort of like learn how code worked.
Now, did you have programming experience at that time?
Not really. I used Game Maker Studio, and it's very, very accessible, and I was kind of learning like to code through that. And I was literally just sort of like going like, hey, what, like, can I make a character who jumps? Yeah, I can do that. Like, can I make a character who has attacks? Yeah, I can do that. And 10 Second Ninja kind of just grew out of that. And like I keep adding bits on. I had like this timer, and I was like, yeah, like this is kind of cool. And then I started thinking about what you could do mechanically by having this time constraint on every single level. I started like showing it to my friends, and then they thought it was like pretty fun. So I kept polishing it and polishing it and polishing it, and just taking it to events. And I kind of learned like everything about being both a game developer and also like a small business owner from that whole experience, and just like gradually going like, well, I've got this game, so like I should like take it to a game event, right? Or like I should email some press. And then from that being like, hey, like maybe I should consider getting a publisher. Like, hey, like I need sound for this, so like, do I know any sound designers? And it all just kind of came from that, very kind of naturally. And yeah, now we're a team of 4 people. We have a publisher, we've got like 2 PR companies working on this. Like,
oh wow,
it's really weird for me as someone who like I still kind of feel like I'm just a kid.
Oh so sure. I mean,
it's bizarre.
In many ways, you still are, right? And that's a good thing. You've got a lot of time to, I guess, evolve even further.
I mean, like, the way I think of it is the process of making this game is what I did instead of sort of finishing university. I went to university for 1 year and hated it. Just because they were very patronizing, and I kind of already knew what I was doing by the time I went. So like I ended up just sort of dropping out and being like, you know what, I'm gonna do this games thing. Like I'm gonna turn this into like a business and like try and keep doing this. Which seems to be working out okay. Fingers crossed it continues to work out okay. But yeah, like this is like worst case scenario I thought was just like I can either finish university, get a degree, and then I'll have a sheet of paper that tells people I know how to make games. Or I can finish 10 Second Ninja, I can make 10 Second Ninja X, I can make a polished game that's like critically been really well received, like thank God. And then like if it doesn't sell, I can approach EA or Activision or Ubisoft. Like I can approach a big company and be like, hey, I made this. Like I don't have a thing say I can make games. Like I have a game, you can play it now. I have experience doing interviews and all this stuff. Like I know how this whole thing comes together. So
by the way, I've been holding back rage this entire time. I'm like absolutely. I'm like okay. I'm just like
God, you're so close to 2 stars in this one.
I think I got pretty close. How many stars do I got here? Wait, I've got. Wait.
You've got the method down for this one.
I'm sorry.
You've got the method down for this one.
Oh, this particular
where
level?
like you kind of have to stay on the right side and just like chuck throwing stars.
And just go as quickly as possible. Time it.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, I got another one. Let's see if I can do it faster. Oh. Come on, I can do 3, right? Ah. Oh. So it says 0.42. That's 0.42 seconds, right? So
yeah.
No shit.
You can bring it down. Right. So you're getting faster and faster. This is the whole loop. This first level kind of teaches you like, okay, just like once you have the route down, then it's just full on Super Meat Boy, like faster, 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 faster. So it's almost like Trials HD, except you have to kind of think about it a little bit more. It's not like just reactions. You have to actually like take into account how the level's built. It's almost a puzzle game, but not as boring as puzzle games usually are.
Yeah. Oh, nice. There it is.
That's cool. Like there's 100 levels in the game total, including the ones from 10 Second Ninja 1. So it's cool that each one kind of has its own little stage of just being like absolute, just like, nope, I am not gonna do this, to just being like, yes, I'm gonna do this perfectly.
Oh wow, this
it
is a hard one. Holy shit. Come on. Oh fuck, I didn't hit it fast enough.
Like, apologies in advance for saying this, because I know everyone says this, but like Dark Souls, Dark Souls is a perfect example of this, right? Where they sort of go like everyone goes on about how difficult Dark Souls is, but it's sort of difficult in that it just kind of doesn't compromise. It goes like if you fight a boss and the boss kills you and you're like, oh man, I can never do this boss. The game doesn't go like, okay, we'll skip through to the next bit. The game goes, no, you can do this boss. Like, try again. Like, like, get an ego about it. Like, just do it. And then when you do it, you're kind of like, oh damn, like the game was right. Like, yeah, I can do it. Okay, cool. And like that's a really, I mean, firstly, it's just really, really rewarding, but it's also kind of nice working on a game that kind of respects its players in that way. Like, I totally think there's a place for games that are kind of casual and games that are easy. I don't think every single game has to be like really difficult. But when you make a game that's like about gameplay and about overcoming challenge, and then you take the challenge away, it's kind of like, what's really left? So for 10 Second Ninja X, it was really important. There was like, no, like you're probably not going to notice that the depth is there unless we push you to look for the depth.
In relation to the feedback you've gotten for this game, are you considering to make another speedrunner?
I don't know, man. Like, we're kind of in a weird position where like, so like the critical reception we've had has been like just like overwhelmingly positive, and like I'm like so grateful for that. But also, like, I've been doing this for 4 years. Like, I want to make a different game now, I think. I don't feel like there's much more I could do with 10 Second Ninja specifically. And, like, in terms of, like, another speedrunner, I feel like I would just end up making 10 Second Ninja again.
Yes, right. Because you've already, you know, for just through your various experiences over those 4 years, you've built an expertise around it. So it'll be natural to be like, oh, well, we could just do this. And then before you know it, a year later, you're like, oh, shit. It's 10 Second Ninja with it'll be like 10 Second Penguin, effectively. I don't know. You know, different character, maybe different lore. But so I imagine now you likely have the resources, given the success of your previous titles, to go and maybe explore some, you know, experimental prototypes and see what project ends up intriguing you. It's probably a great luxury.
Yeah, it's like we're in a very good position now where like we're an established company. We have games that are out there, they've been received really well, and we're now in a position where, because we have made these two games, we have the expertise to make things that are a bit more ambitious and a bit kind of bigger in scope. It's like we're very keen on moving to 3D for the next project.
Oh, nice.
Working in a different genre, kind of, just trying different things visually and sort of having different goals with the design. I don't want to say too much yet because we do actually have a project that we're we're working on, but like, we're working on a project that, if you're someone who enjoys 10 Second Ninja X and you enjoy how all the different mechanics as the game goes on play off of each other, there will be stuff there for you, but in a very different way. It was a really cool time that I'm worried has kind of gone away, where like if you wanted to get into making games
Mhm.
and you were smart enough about it, you could basically just pitch an idea to someone else who was just starting out and just collaborate on stuff.
Right. Find an
Um,
artist, programmer finds an artist, and next thing you know, you're making some kind of magic.
Yeah, because like production-wise, they weren't big enough or like expensive enough that you couldn't do that. They were all pretty small-scale games, and you know what? If they turned out really, really good, you could sell them on Steam or something. It was a really, really cool time. Whereas now it's like, like 10 Second Ninja X is the result of me spending 4 years learning how to make games, and this is what that looks like. It's a really tough process. Like, I know it's not like like Crysis 3 or something. I feel like it's very, very polished, but it's not like it's not like Battlefield 1 or like this a really high fidelity, beautiful game. And I feel like we're at a stage now where like 10 Second Ninja X is about where the bar is for indie games in terms of presentation, and I know I couldn't have made this as my first game.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of
insane because I think the indie scene has grown so much, and when you look at like Microsoft and Sony and how much money they're actually spending on
it's
attempting
nuts.
to promote it, like there's a lot of money there, and with that you get these folks who are veterans in the industry already and are bringing their talent from these AAA studios along with their money, and now you're competing against that. So
it's terrifying, and it's like it's a shame because it means like from a super artsy developer standpoint, I'm kind of like, oh no, we're going to be missing out on these kind of rough, janky games that might have really interesting ideas just because their production values aren't very high.
right.
But also as someone who plays games, I'm like, oh man, now we get like a really diverse range of really interesting games that all have budgets, and that's the best. It's like a freaking golden age for playing games. It's just kind of there's a little tinge of sadness for there for me as a game developer. But it's one of the reasons why I was so keen on starting my own company and getting games out there is instead of finishing university. Though it was like, you know what, I'm not gonna have another opportunity to do this. Like if I try and like start my own indie studio in 3 years when I finished university, like I'm probably not gonna be able to compete. And I was right. It was like if I'd started now, I wouldn't be able to compete. But you know what? Like I'm not starting now. I started a few years ago, and I have some footing now.
I mean, it all comes down to customers, right? Are they willing to buy your game? And while some may have been more willing to pass less judgment on indie titles in the past, do you think that's changed now with the mass amount of early access titles and Kickstarters and effectively failed projects? What are your thoughts on that? And how do you think it affects you? And what about other folks who may be trying to jump in and make a title? And I know you kind of touched on that, but to kind of broaden, I guess, the question a bit.
So I think a lot of players at the moment kind of have a knee-jerk response when they see something that looks, truth be told, like 10 Second Ninja X, or just something that's 2D, or maybe, or a game that's like 3D but not quite as polished. And they kind of go like this looks like junk. And you know what? Like I do it too. I totally get it. Like,
oh yeah.
We've gone from this weird stage where like a big part of why there was this big sort of boom in indie games a few years ago was like people were just sick of like big budget games with like season passes and loads of DLC and not enough content actually on the disc and all this stuff, and like weird DRM and like just kind of all the worst parts of AAA people kind of getting sick of. And then there was this big kind of oasis of indie games that were just like, hey, we're not doing that, and people were like, yay, let's play these instead, like stick it to the man. But the problem now is like over the past few years, like indie games have kind of got a bad rep, and again, like I totally get it. Like there are a lot of early access games coming out on Steam that just like aren't done or anywhere close to done, and they will never be done.
Right.
And like I see them and I think they suck too. Like there's a bunch of games that aren't even in early access, just like finished games launching on Steam that are just crap. They're just really bad.
God, yeah.
And
well,
it's
and they
like,
allow it because it's become it's a free marketplace, which has its positives and negatives.
Yeah, and like it's one of the nice things. Like one of the things I will say for sort of Sony and Microsoft is like they're a lot better at keeping PlayStation and Xbox closed off And one of the reasons why we made 10 Second Ninja X for PlayStation and Xbox as well is just so we could be like, it's kind of like a seal of approval. Like, hey, it's like, if nothing else, it's not going to be that bad. Like, it won't be unplayable, because if it was unplayable, it wouldn't be released on these consoles. And it's just like one of the many things we have to do to kind of get trust with people. And like, I get it. Like, I just totally get it. As someone who plays games, like, I really don't trust a lot of game developers aren't gonna screw me out of my money. And I can't really blame anyone for that. So all we've really got to do is make sure that we do make the kind of reach out of the olive branch and go like, look, we get it. We're not going to screw you around. And here is proof of that. Here is us like listening to your feedback. Here is us like trying to add little things into the game that we didn't need to add in, just so you know that we do take this seriously as well. Because but from a moral standpoint, like, I just think that's the right thing to do. But also, like, long term, from a business standpoint, like, having people trust you is just super important. And I don't want to have like Steam forums filled with people who think we're screwing them out of their money or intentionally trying to like empty their wallets in exchange for a bad product. Like, I want Steam forums full of people who just feel really positively about the game. Like, that's nice for us. So yeah, basically, in answer to your question, I think it's totally understandable that people have a bad response to indie games. It does affect us a lot, but I understand, and we're doing our best to make sure that doesn't happen to us.
Guys, if you have any questions for Dan, go ahead and do it at Dasmedi, and then ask your question. We'll ask them away. We got a couple minutes remaining here. I want to be sure to, you guys have a chance to ask him anything that may be on your mind. Whatever the question is, as long as it relates with the game or the general interview, yes.
Yeah, like sitcoms I watch,
What sitcoms do you watch when you program? That's a good question.
I've been getting pretty into New Girl. Like, I know it's not a traditional sitcom, but like, I like a bit of New Girl, to be honest.
Okay. I've never seen that myself.
Oh, it's really good. It's really, really good. It's way better than it has any right to be.
Oh, wow.
What's my favorite pizza topping?
It's not a bad question. I mean,
that's a great question.
Is pizza your primary fuel when programming?
It actually is. Basically, pizza and chicken, like not together weirdly, but like pizza and chicken are my two main programming foods. I'm gonna be really boring and say that my favorite pizza topping is just like nothing. I really like margarita pizza.
Oh, nice.
I'm dull,
so not even cheese. I was about to say, well, do you at least get the extra cheese?
I'm not a monster. I'm not just eating bread. Like, no, it's cheese and tomato pizza. That's good.
I got a question for you. Is this, so you mentioned Game Maker originally, which is where 10 Second Ninja was born out of. What about 10 Second Ninja X? Is this also Game Maker?
This is.
Okay, wow, okay.
We kind of
and for those not familiar with it, what does Game Maker provide you? I know it's a, I've seen it before, but for those who haven't seen it, how would you describe it? And can you really how much programming does it make available to you?
So 10 Second Ninja is built in Game Maker, and Game Maker is it's a really good, it's sort of, you can code games in Game Maker how you would in something like Unity. You can use a lot of code if you want to. It actually leaves quite a lot of that open to you. But the great thing about Game Maker is when you're just starting out, you can make entire games without typing a single line of code. They have a really cool drag and drop interface that essentially, it uses programming logic, but in a way that isn't overwhelming or kind of allows you to slip up. Like, one of the bigger problems when you're starting to learn how to code is you'll type a line of code that seems like it makes sense, and the computer's just gonna be like, nope, doesn't make sense. And figuring out why can be really, really difficult. It's like a massive, overwhelming thing.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. This was awesome. Thank you for sharing the game with us and talking to us about it. It's very it's rare that I play speedrunners, but I can definitely see the why it's been so well received.
Thank you.
It's pretty clear. It's surprising you made it at such a young age, and you've got a lot of, you got a lot more years of game development, I think, left in you. So I'm really excited to see what the next title is. Yeah, let's hope, guys. Can we show him some love and appreciation for having him share his time and his game with us? Well, thank you.
The chat's making me really happy. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me again. I really enjoyed this, and yeah, thanks, chat, for being so nice.
Hey guys, I hope you liked that clip. If you want to see more awesome content, be sure to hit subscribe and let me know what you think by hitting the like button or, leaving a comment down below. Catch you later.